Hi everyone, welcome to Scrapbook.com, here with me, Alexandra Stapleton Smith at Hedgehog Hollow. Today I have a fun tutorial using the new LDRS release. We're going to be using the Petalette die here, and we're going to be using Distress Oxide sprays to create a fun background, and then we're just going to die cut them, make a really quick, easy, impactful card. So let's get started. I have my Splat box here ready to go. If you've never used a Splat box, it is amazing. It makes no mess with your sprays, so it stops all that overspray kind of mess, and you can see how much it folds down, so it's really space saving for small craft spaces. So what we're going to do is you just unfold it like this, so it's super simple, and then you just tuck in these little flaps just like this. And then you have your Splat box, and you can either stand a tag up like this, you can lay it down like this. You have tons and tons of different options, but we're just going to pop our piece of Distress watercolor cardstock in here. And I grabbed a few different colors. So I grabbed some picked raspberries, some wilted violets, some cracked pistachio, mermaid lagoon. I really didn't have a plan, so I grabbed some spiced marmalade and some fossilized amber. And I thought we were just going to have fun, put some in, create a background and die cut it, because that's my favorite way to create some pretty papers. Now with Distress Oxide sprays, you do need to give them a good spray. If you're going to give them a shake, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can either go the round and around method, or you can shake them up and down, but make sure you keep this cap on or put a piece of kitchen towel over. Sometimes you get a little bit of leakage, so just make sure you cover that cap in some way. Now I pre-shook mine before the start of the video, because what you'll find is you get a little bit of settling of the pigment diffusion at the bottom. So you want to make sure you have a nice, thick, consistent colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some and I'm just going to spray down. You see those beautiful colours that you get here. So we're just going to pop some colour down, and we're going to also grab some blue. Now the great thing about oxides is you can layer colours to prevent yourself getting mud. So I'm going to grab my Ranger Heat It tool, and we're going to dry between layers like this. And then I'm going to add in some of those greens colours that we wouldn't normally mix together, because we might be afraid we would get some muddy colours occurring. And as you dry, that chalky oxideness that we're used to getting from our oxide is going to start to become apparent. So you don't have to fully dry it, but we want it to make sure it's a little bit dry. So we've done that, and now we're going to start going in with some of that cracked pistachio, which is one of my favourite colours. See that wonderful pop of green that we get in there. And again, I'm going to add a bit more blue. Look at that splash of blue in there. Actually, I want a bit more cracked pistachio because it is my favourite. Look at that. And again, I'm going to give it a quick dry, because then I want to layer another colour on top. So the thing with oxides is you can layer to stop yourself getting mud, but dry between layers. And that's what stops that no mud reaction. I'm sure there's probably a technical term in there somewhere, but my advice is to dry between your layers, or at least kind of semi-dry between your layers. And you can see how we're going to get some fun things. And then we're going to do some water-based reactions with a water sprayer, just to add a little bit of oxidization. So I'm just going to get rid of most of that wet ink. And then I'm going to take a little bit of spiced marmalade on this corner. Look at that. Just a fun spray of that. And a little bit of fossilized amber. Again, you can see, look at those fun colours. Also, your Splat box ends up looking really, really pretty when you do these techniques. Something else I love about this. Sometimes I just want to cut my Splat box up and do some fun things. I guess you could do that when you're done. The Splat boxes last a long time, but you could, of course, cut them up afterwards and do some fun mixed media techniques with them too. I'm going to go back in. I've lost some of my pink. So you can just keep going and layer up colours. So I'm going to know when to stop eventually, like this. So I'm going to give this one last dry, and I'm just going to grab myself a water sprayer from the side. So I have my Nuvo Light Mist bottle here, and we're going to add some fun oxidizations to this. So this will react like Distress Oxide ink. So if you've ever used the Distress Oxide pads, you will know that you get some really fun techniques when we now start playing with water. So when we start doing this, you're going to get some water rings, you can lift up colour, and you're going to really kind of enhance that chalkiness, and those colours really start to pop. See how those colours start to change as we add in this water. And if you don't like what you get, well, you can always add more. So I kind of feel like this colour down here has lost some of its definition, so I could go in. You see how I can suddenly make that orange? Because I can layer up my Distress Oxides. I could also grab some kitchen towel and I can reveal colours that are underneath. So what I can do is I can wait for this to be slightly dry. I can grab a piece of kitchen towel, which I've got here. I can go in. See, I can add some water in for some distress. And then if I start going in with my kitchen towel, I can lift up ink. So you see how this is lifting up colour? I'm going to reveal colours that we had underneath. So you can see how I'm starting to peel back some of those layers. So I'm getting some really fun techniques and colours in here. Like this. There's something else that you can do with your Distress Oxide sprays, and I have my glass mat here, so it's a great time to show you. I'm just going to clear these to the side, and we're going to use this palette area over here. Now remember, of course, your paper is double-sided, so if you don't like what you get on one side, you can always try out your other side. Is you can pop down some Distress Oxide ink, like this. So I'm just popping some ink down on my surface. I'm just going to move my Gemini to the side for a second. And I'm also just going to spritz it with water a little bit. And then you can do your kind of traditional smushing technique. And of course that is the technical term we all use. But look at that kind of vibrancy that we've got in there. I'm going to give this a quick dry. Isn't that awesome? So I actually prefer this side to play around with your techniques. And this looks very different to the ink smushing you would get if you did it directly with pads. And that's because of the formulation that you have in a spray. And I'm just going to add some water to some of these. I'm going to pick some up in that corner. I'm going to pick some blue up down here. I'm going to pick some up in this corner. I mean, you can, of course, have white space. I'm not a big white space person. I like to fill up all of my different areas. You can see there, isn't that a really cool background that we've created? So I'm actually going to use this side. I'm going to dry this up. Like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a quick dry. I'm going to wipe down my surface. Clean up wise, what I'm going to use is a baby wipe, and then we're going to do some die cutting. So I just did a quick clear up, as I say, just baby wipes or a spray of water and some kitchen towel. Really easy to clear up, but I love how this came out. Look at that. So when you do the kind of direct to paper, you're going to get a more vibrant technique. When you do the layer, you get this kind of more muted technique. So very, very different. And then you can see where we got the oxidization by adding the water. And then you have this one on this side. Super, super cool. So now we're going to die cut it using that new LDRS die. So I'm going to peel this off the backing here. And we're going to pop it onto here. Now, one thing I do tend to do when I work with something with oxides on is I do tend to put a little piece of paper underneath. Now the reason I do that is oxides have an oxidation chemical on here and it just protects my die cutting plate. I'm a lazy crafter. I don't want to have to clean my plates afterwards. So that's the reason I do that. And then I'm going to center my die up wherever I want that die cutting to happen. So I'm going to put that here. I think this is going to look so, so pretty. I don't really want that white piece though, so I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. So you can just center up wherever you want your die cutting to occur. And I'm going to use a piece of Post-it tape just to hold my die in place. And then I'm going to put my sandwich on. Some of you ask me, why do I have masking tape left on my plates? The reason is when I teach or I go to an event, I tape my sandwich together so it's easy for people to just kind of pop the sandwich on and off. And I don't have to worry about them putting the wrong sandwich in my machine. So I'm going to pop this through my Gemini Junior. Off it goes. And I like this because it's fully automatic, no hand cranking required. And this thing is a workhorse, let me tell you. So I'm going to take this out. I will get a rough cut, and that's why I don't do it directly on my plates, because particularly if it's a little bit wet still, and just that extra piece of paper is going to protect your plates, you throw this away. You don't have to clean your plate underneath. So top tip for you there. So I'm just going to peel this out of my die cutting plate. Peel off my Post-it tape. You of course can use washi tape, whatever your preference is. This one is a little bit wet. I should have dried it a little bit longer, but it's going to be fine. Let's grab a craft pick because that will make our lives much, much easier. And if you just kind of tease it out, so just pop your nail into all those open areas. That will of course help you too. You can see how this is coming out. And then I'm just going to tease this out nicely. As I say, if it wasn't wet, it'd be much, much easier. So make sure it's thoroughly dry. There's a top tip. Don't do what I do. You could actually still dry this, so I might pop my heat gun onto this for a second, and then it would pop out much, much easier. The LDRS dies are also Teflon coated, so they will pop out nice and easily. But you can see with a craft pick, so much easier. You just kind of pop your craft pick into the die, and it lets you just pick out those areas. So I just pop it into that flower and it releases straight out. Pop it in, releases out. So this is great. The other thing you can do is if you have a big shot machine, I really recommend getting that chrome base plate. For detailed dies, you will notice the difference on cutting detailed dies. So much easier. I'm just going into this one, like so. So I'm just going to give this a quick dry because I think it will release much, much easier. So once this is dry, I'm going to pop it out the die cut, and then it will be ready to mount up. So gave it a little bit of a heat dry, and then it popped out the die really nice. So the LDRS dies are Teflon coated to help you get them out the die. But one thing I did leave that mistake in because I know mistakes happen to all of us. Like I craft all the time, I make videos, but I still have mistakes. You know, I die cut that too early, the paper wasn't dried out enough, so it kind of warped and it wanted to stick inside of that die. So I wanted to be able to show you how do you fix mistakes when they happen to you. So we're ready to go again. So this has die cut out, isn't it so pretty? Look at that delicate detail. It looks gorgeous with those oxides. Now we want to trim that down. So I'm going to grab my Tim Holtz trimmer here, and we're going to trim a little edge around our piece. So let's do that next. So we're going to just trim a little piece here so that we have a nice border. It's a little bit thinner still. So I really like the Tim Holtz trimmer here. This is a tonic Tim Holtz trimmer. This is the one I use all the time in my craft room. I can get a nice even. I can make really thin cuts too. I can just keep chopping down accordingly. So you see there I have a nice card front size little panel on there. And you can make that any size you'd like. Now I have one of the Scrapbook.com card bases that they make. They're pre-scored, so they're really easy, ready to go. And then all you have to do is firm it up using your bone folder. This is the tonic one here. And it has a really nice curved piece. You get a nice crisp fold on there. Now, Gluing really detailed die cuts like this can be a little bit tricky, but I have a top tip for you. Grab a piece of kitchen towel, grab one of the Nuvo thick tip glue pens. It looks like a big highlighter. Reactivate it or activate it if you need to, and just go over it like it's a highlighter. I mean, the little bit's super easy like this. Make sure you go over your edges. So I just go over it again. Pretend like it's a highlighter. It works perfectly. And then you can kind of dib dab, just like this. So you can see, super, super easy. Dib dab, just like this. And then we're going to grab out our card piece, open it up because then you're going to get your best mat. And then we're going to pop it down onto our card panel, just like this. And then I'm going to fold that same piece of paper that we used in half, so we're using our non-sticky piece, and then put it over the top and press down. So you're not going to use your fingers, you're not going to spread any of that ink. And then when you lift up, you're going to have a nice pressed down piece. And if you need to, you can just, again, press down. Don't press down with your fingers because A, they're probably going to be inky, and B, you may spread some of that ink. So just use that same piece of kitchen towel. And you can see that. Doesn't that look awesome? So I've taken that middle piece that comes with the die. There's a stitched oval that comes with that same die cut. And there's also some flowers and embellishments that you can use in your card making. It comes in that same die set. And I stamped the Be Unique, Be Happy, Be You from the On the Move stamp set. I used some embossing powder, the white Nuvo embossing powder, and I already did that, so it's ready to go. And I'm just going to use some foam to pop that in the middle here. So I'm going to grab some of my non-stick tonic scissors here because that makes it nice and easy. And I'm just going to use 2 pieces of foam like this in the center. Just add a little bit of dimension. And then you can see there, but how pretty is that card? Love how those Distress Oxides came out, those bright pops of color on there. And then of course that sentiment in the middle there. And you could add any sentiment. You could also use some of those offcuts from that piece of paper, and then you could die cut some of those little flowers in the die there, and you could glue those on and pop them up if you wanted to. But I love how easy and quick this card is. You can make tons of these panels, just die cut them, glue them onto cards, and then make a set of note cards, which would make a perfect gift too. So some really, really easy ways. And those Scrapbook.com card bases are fantastic because they're pre-cut, pre-scored, ready to go. So as I say, all the links are in the video description. Check those out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for some amazing videos here at Scrapbook.com. We have tons of free classes, amazing content for you, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's tutorial, and also how to fix a mistake plus that full card making tutorial. And I will see you again very soon. Thanks for joining me here at Scrapbook.com. We'll see you soon. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye.